League One Volleyball is coming to Omaha this January. Featuring Olympic medalist Jordan Larson and Justine Wong-Arantes, Love Omaha Volleyball is Omaha's newest pro team. The inaugural season will showcase some of the world's best volleyball players, from medalists to NCAA champions and international superstars, with the action kicking off on January 24th at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Visit lovb.com for more information and to purchase tickets. Volleyball is the next major league.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month, and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All finance with approved credit, leases with $2,500 down.
Sean Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Make Hog Wild the centerpiece of your Thanksgiving feast. Pre-order a 12-pound whole smoked turkey or a 4-pound turkey breast for $55. A 4-pound boneless ham is $50. A complete meal includes your choice of a whole turkey or turkey breast, mashed potatoes and gravy, stuffing, green beans or corn, and a dozen rolls for $130. Pre-order online at GoHogWild.com soon. Quantities are limited. All weights are approximate before cooking. Hog Wild Pit Barbecue, Lincoln.
But don't be late, we close at 8.
This is the Adam Carriker Show.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, 1st and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, into the Adam Carriker Show, the show that gives you unique insights, unbridled honesty, and producer Jake and I have a whole lot of fun in the process. Live, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Join Steve Taylor on Wednesdays. He does a very good job as well. Basically, the loaded show, the loaded hour is the lunch hour. Grab your lunch. Come join us each and every day. All right, the show where we talk Husker sports, college football, and college sports as a whole. Today's show is freaking loaded. I got all sorts of random tidbits. All right. Predictions for the college football weekend. Dana Holgorsen. Honestly, if he didn't change the playbook at all, if he didn't do anything, and he just did this one thing a little bit better, I'm going to talk about it here shortly, Nebraska would have probably a 15% chance, a 15% chance or higher odds-wise than they would have if he doesn't do this one thing of winning the game and beating USC. I'm going to talk about that. Also, Nebraska got some good news yesterday. Everyone's been kind of waiting on it. 4-star edge defender, Alabama commit, Dawson Merritt flips to the Huskers. He said, and I quote, "I want to be part of building something." I like that. End quote. I like that. Kind of a similar reason that Dylan Raiola came here. All right. And he went on and talked about multiple other things. But one thing he said on his X last night, that sounds weird, his X, his Twitter, but it is called X. I didn't make up the name. On his X was he said, basically, we're not done yet. So that makes you wonder, are there potential flips? Other recruits he knows that haven't committed that are maybe coming, the way of the good old Big Red? Some people may not know this, but Nebraska's coaches, Matt Rule, was visiting 5-star athlete Michael Terry last week. Some people kind of written him off. All right, and Jake, look him up real quick. His name escapes me. The number 2 player in the state of Nebraska, out of Omaha, tight end, committed to Florida State. I've talked about him like 3 times here.
Chase Lofton.
Yeah, there you go. Is he going to flip? A lot of people thought it would happen after UCLA. Maybe the outcome of the game impacted that. Maybe it just delayed the inevitable. Come join the Big Red, my friend. And hearkening back to yesterday, no, Florida State is not the best 1-9 team in the country. If you don't get that, watch yesterday's show. So don't go join the 1-9 Seminoles come join your in-home state university brethren, Nebraska. Now, I got to admit, Jake, Dawson Merritt was committed to Alabama. So, yeah, Matt Rule just kind of gently smacked Kirby Smart upside the cheek right there and took one of his boys. But I got to admit, Jake, I had nightmares last night. Okay. Lendale White scoring all those touchdowns just haunted me yesterday. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Carriker trivia, that was one of the questions. He has the most all-time career rushing touchdowns at USC. Is that correct?
It was the single season, yeah.
Single
24 in one season.
Single season. I did not pick him because, I don't know, Reggie Bush. Like, seriously? But, again, harken back to that national championship game, that Rose Bowl versus Texas. 4th and short, game on the line. They gave the ball to White, not Bush. That's not an indictment on Bush. I guess it's a compliment to White. Anyways, I digress. I had nightmares about that. But my performance yesterday in Carriker's Trivia Challenge has only motivated me. The other thing it showed me is the only people out there who care less about USC football than me are USC Trojan fans themselves. Hi-oh, ladies and gentlemen, let's light this candle. All right, I got a couple of thoughts for you, and let us dive into a bunch of topics. The first thought here, via Zig Ziglar, he said, and I quote, "If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every single time. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every single time." And then another quote. This is Bill Self, Kansas's head basketball coach, one of the best to ever do it. He said, and I quote, "Courage is not knowing where the finish line is and going as hard as you can anyways." End quote. Normally motivational quotes are saved for Monday, but I feel like going into this USC game, and I've heard reports of a little bit of a different vibe than after the last bye week with the players at Nebraska. Now, it's all a bunch of hoopla and BS crap out the mouth unless we see it on the field. But I'm hearing reports that maybe there's a little bit of a different vibe in a positive direction than coming out of the last bye week. And it wasn't like it was negative out of the last bye week, but maybe they learned from it. And maybe they're a little bit more ready and a little bit more motivated than going into the UCLA game, and a little bit more prepared than the Indiana game. And maybe all I'm hearing is a bunch of crap. I guess we'll see tomorrow. But the people I'm hearing it from, I wouldn't say it if I didn't have a reason to believe them. But the proof is in the pudding. Action speaks so loudly, I can't hear anything you say. And ultimately, all that's going to matter is what we see at 3 p.m., starting at 3 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. All right. Let's see what else I got real quick. Harkening back to yesterday's show again. Apparently must be true. But the number one quarterback, who's been offered $10.5 million from Michigan, is going to turn it down. What are your thoughts on that, Jake?
Well, that's a lot of money to turn down. I'm assuming LSU must not be too far behind if that's the case. I suppose we should get used to it, though. I think this is kind of where we are. We'll see with this new system of going in-house if that changes thing. But there's always going to be a little bit of bidding war for teams that are desperate for a quarterback.
$10.5 million for a guy who doesn't have his high school diploma yet. Think about that. Just think about that. What if he doesn't work out? So I remember, and I forget his name, and we're not going to spend a lot of time in this, but there was a Florida quarterback commit about 2 years ago, promised millions of dollars. He wasn't getting the money. He either transferred from Florida or didn't go. I think he was there and transferred and left because he wasn't getting the payments. And it's just like, this is a crazy world we live in. And then it's kind of like you don't know who to trust. You don't know what's real. You don't know what's not, because he apparently wasn't getting paid what he was promised. Just an insane world that we live in. Nick Saban, he said it's why he retired from coaching. Kids, and I'm not saying kids shouldn't be paid. My God, if I could go back in time, I'd love to be paid. You know how often I would turn on the NCAA college football video game and I'd see a guy 6'6", 295 from Kennewick, Washington that looked just like Ivan Drago, and I was wearing number 90, and I was supposed to pretend that guy wasn't me. Jake, that's not ASA 7. That wasn't ASA 8. That was ASA 9. It was crazy. And then I didn't even get the game for free. I had to go pay for the game, let alone not getting paid. I had to go pay for the game. I'm glad we have the game back now. Oh, one more thought on Dawson Merritt. 6'3", 215 pounds from Overland Park, Texas. All right. Again, committed to the Crimson Tide, now flipped to the good guys. He said, and another quote he had, trusting that the Lord is guiding me down the right path, end quote. So he said this was about he had to follow his heart, things of that nature, wanted to go help start something. So all I got to say is welcome to the Husker Brotherhood, my friend. All right. Here's one other thought. I think my wife actually sent me this one a couple days ago. Not to go in a completely different direction, but we've got 6 kids. Beautiful, wonderful kids. Almost all kids are just awesome. Don't you know that, Jake? Almost.
Yeah, most of them.
Almost. Yeah, there you go. All right. Kids today are like, so what did y'all do before the internet? Did you just not know anything? And the answer is yes. You would ask your Aunt Marge a question, she'd give you the wrong answer, and you'd carry that misinformation for 20 years. So much truth to that. And some people may not understand or get that, but there are things that I thought for a long time, and until the internet kind of became more of age, more update, Google, you could go Google things. There were things that I was told as a kid that may not have been completely accurate, but I had no way of double checking it. What were those? With encyclopedias. You could go look up encyclopedias in the library. Now you've got the Wikipedia online, which is about as trustworthy as, I'm not going to go too deep into who and what is not trustworthy, but do you know that anybody can go in and edit Wikipedia at any point in time? Like, so just everything you read on the internet, ladies and gentlemen, is 100% true. Just know it's all true. It's all fact-based, and nothing's a lie out there. It's all true on the internet. All right. Couple other quick things, and then I want to dive into predictions for games this weekend, including Nebraska. Oh, and how could I forget to mention Ed Warder, a guy who worked for ESPN for, I think he was almost 30 years. All right, but he's still covering the Cowboys. I actually coached his grandson in highly intense 8U rec baseball a couple years ago. Henry was a stud. All right, absolutely awesome. Ed Warder is going to come join me. And we're going to we haven't talked a lot of NFL yet, okay? And when college football season inevitably ends, that's the next thing we're going to dive into, all right? But we're going to do something we don't do a lot of, at least during college football season, and talk some Cowboys. Now, the Cowboys are quote-unquote America's team, whatever. You're a Cowboy. So here's the deal. I hardly ever root for the favorite. Like the Yankees, if you've noticed, I'm not the biggest fan. The Lakers in basketball. I haven't talked about it much, but not a gigantic fan. The Cowboys. All right. Like, I never rooted for Hogan. I always liked Warrior. I never liked Austin. I liked The Rock or Goldberg. I always liked the guy trying to take down the guy, or the team's trying to beat the team. I grew up on a not so nice piece of town on the wrong side of that town. And so we were always the underdog. We were always overlooked. Right? It was always everyone else underestimating us. And so I kind of kept that mentality. Like when I say I walked on campus in Nebraska and I didn't have a chip on my shoulder, I had a whole forest on my shoulder. That was the truth. And I can outlie someday why that was. There were certain folks in the media who said certain things that I didn't appreciate. Now I've grown up and matured just a little bit, but at the time it was motivation for yours truly. All right, Jake, get some of those national college football games ready. In the meantime, let's look specifically at the main event of this Saturday. The main event of almost every Saturday, unless we got a Friday game or a bye week, the Nebraska game. Nebraska versus USC. All right, USC and Nebraska have combined for 16 national championships. The Trojans have 11, 5 by Nebraska. Each school has twice won back-to-back national titles. Nebraska 70-71, 94-95, SC 31-32, 03 and 04. All right, true freshman receiver Ja'Cory Barney I'm very curious to see what Holgorsen does and some of the things he does differently. And I'm going to get into one major thing. He can just do this better. And Nebraska's chances of winning the game will increase anywhere from 10 to 20% instantly. Without changing anything, just do this better in the game. But one of the things schematically, I'm curious to see how he does. All right, Ja'Cory Barney, he's a one-on-one matchup nightmare. USC plays a lot of man-to-man. All right, but true freshman receiver Ja'Cory Barney has 38 receptions in 9 games this season. His 2 receptions, he is just 2 receptions shy of Nebraska's record for the most catches by a true freshman, Wan'Dale Robinson, at 40 in 2019. The overall freshman receptions record is 55 by J.D. Spielman in 2017. But I'm curious to see what he can do on Saturday versus the Trojans. All right. Nebraska senior punter Brian Buschini is averaging 46.4 yards per punt on the season. Buschini is challenging the Nebraska single-season punting average record held by my former teammate, The only punter and or kicker I've ever seen to bench 315, Mr. Sam Cook, who averaged 46.51 yards on 71 punts in 2005. All right, let's compare Nebraska and USC head-to-head just a little bit. Oh, I came across this random thing earlier this week. Matt Rule and Dana Holgorsen have the same agent. They are both athletes' first clients. And I don't know if that's a ginormous deal, but anybody I have the same agent as, you tend to get to know them more. You tend to see them more often at things because agents are setting up things. So you're going to tend to be at similar events. So I guarantee that has helped coordinate their relationship and just getting to know each other over the years. I actually, when I was going through the whole agent vetting process, which, by the way, I did not enjoy whatsoever in any way, shape, or form, but that's a story for another day. Athletes First was down to one of my 3 final agencies that I almost went with. I got nothing but positive things to say about them. You look at Nebraska specifically in this matchup. They're 111th in the country in yards per rush, 98th in America in rush yards per game. If we could just get, like, seriously, 10 to 20% more out of Dylan Raiola, like 10% week 1 versus USC, maybe 15% more out of Dylan Raiola versus Wisconsin, maybe 20% more out of Dylan Raiola versus Iowa. That would make a huge impact in Nebraska's offense and obviously the overall flow of the game and probably the overall end score of said games. But I honestly don't think it would be that hard. Could we just get him to play like he was playing early on in the season? How much, and I'm not indicting Dylan Raiola on this, but Jake, how much better do you think Dylan played the first month of the season versus the second month of the season? 5% better? 50% better? What percentage would you put on it? Because if we could just get him to do what he was doing a month ago, we'd be good to go.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking back to, like, remember when he had 2 interceptions and Coach Rule said they were great throws and everybody would agree. Remember his first, like,
it was
his
more the
first few
receivers.
games,
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, he just wasn't missing. And now, it just seems like he's, I would say, I mean, maybe 20%. I mean, it's been a big percentage.
I think it's fair.
Yeah.
At one point, I remember talking about it. He had a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio because my goal for him this year was 60% or better completion percentage and then 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That was my goal the whole year. And he was 9 touchdowns, 3 INTs at one point, 3-to-1. And his completion percentage was, I think, 72%. Okay. And the only guy who'd ever done that as a true freshman was Marcus Mariota, 2012. And the last Nebraska quarterback to do that was in 1980. I remember talking about all that stuff. So just go back to what was happening earlier in the year, which he obviously can do. And I agree with Jake. That's probably a 20% difference in play. Over the past month, I've said this before, so I'll go quickly. No touchdown passes, 5 INTs. Okay, so obviously a drastic difference there. But he's shown he can do it. And he obviously has more experience now. Simplify so he can be decisive. The offense can play fast, and we can be more efficient as a unit. I still haven't talked about the one thing Holgorsen can do. I'm building to it. Because it's not rocket science if you just think about it. Excuse me, USC, 98th in the FBS in pass yards per game, allowed, talking about their defense. 101st in the country in sacks. So I've actually got the stat here. They're not very good at getting after the quarterback at all. They only have 13 sacks on the whole season. So we should be able to protect Dylan. They like to play man-to-man. All right, a lot of things I already mentioned. They're giving up on average 22.2 points per game. That's 47th in the country. 371 yards, total yards allowed per game. Their pass defense is 98th in the country. There are yards to be had through the air. Rush yards per game, they're giving up on average 134 rush yards per game and 20-plus yards per game. They're actually not half bad. They've given up 28 total on the season, which is tied for 29th in America. So, Jake, I'm going to do a little reverse Carriker trivia on you. What do you think is the one thing that I believe Dana Holgorsen can do? And I've already said he doesn't have to change a stinking thing. Just do this better on game days. I just gave it away. I just 100% gave it away. Just do this one thing better on game days. It would make a huge difference for Nebraska. What do you think it is?
See, I'm still intrigued. I know we've been saying simplify for a long time, so that would be my first guess, but I'm not sure.
Play calling. Like, think about this one thing. Think about how crazy this is. And I pointed it out. 12 screenplays versus Ohio State. 0 versus I'm sorry, 12. Yes, 12 versus Ohio State, 0 versus UCLA. Watch those two games. Okay. I talked yesterday about how a lot of teams are playing two-man safety. Everyone's man-to-man, two guys deep, so you can't beat them over the top. We're getting jammed at the line, so we can't do the one thing that two-man is susceptible to, which is short passes over the middle, because we can't get off the press. We're not putting guys in motion. We're not putting them in bunch. They're just walking up to the line. They're getting jammed. They don't know how to get off the press. And then you go to UCLA. My God, they were bringing the house. I pointed it out. 0 blitz. I said it during the game. Rule talked about it after the game. There were D tackles through the B gap. Then the linebackers were following. That's when you should call screenplays. So we're calling screenplays. Clearly they were predetermined in a game that didn't make sense. 12. And then we called 0 in a game where it made sense because there was some scrutiny and they were having a hard time dealing with that. I mean, keep in mind, they are human beings, but this is also your job. Simply play calling being improved. Calling the right play at the right time. That can easily make a 15 to 20% difference. Like when they're running 0 blitzes, an audible at the line, go fairly quickly, be decisive, don't give them time to get out of it. Screenplays, keep them balanced. Then, if we're not blocking on the perimeter any better, you can mix in some other things. There are some timely things that you can do. Calling the right play at the right time. That in of itself, without changing a freaking thing, would make a huge difference. That can make anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20% worth of difference. Then you get Dylan to play a little better. I know these numbers, when you add them up, start to sound crazy. I don't think it's too crazy to think about. A guy just calling plays, the correct plays at the right time, can make a huge impact on the offense. The quarterback being more comfortable, being more decisive, making quicker decisions, feeling more confident, how he looked the first month of the season can make a huge impact. Does that make sense to you, Jake?
Oh, absolutely. And I remember they go after that Ohio State game. They said, well, the reason we're throwing so many screens is because that defensive line was just too dominant. We were worried about them. It was like, well, the cornerbacks were too dominant. Every time we were doing it, like, I don't know.
Because we're not blocking out there.
Yeah.
By the way, Ohio State, and I mentioned this after the Buckeyes game, they have 2 defensive ends that are very likely to be first-round picks, but you know the weakness of their defense is actually their pass rush. If you actually watch them and look at the stats and break down their film just for 5 minutes like I did going into the game, they're actually their pass rush. So let's call screenplays. Anyways, improved and more timely play calling within the game. And then you just make little tweaks to the scheme. I said you don't have to. Just get Dylan more confident, more timely play calling, and if you want to, make little tweaks to the scheme. I think these things can be done. I really do. How much time we got left in this segment, Jake?
Well, we got Ed in the wings, so we better go pretty quickly. Maybe a minute or two.
Why don't we go to break? We were supposed to bring Ed on 2 minutes ago, so let's call him. I apologize, Ed. And we will actually get back to the predictions in the last segment of the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The McKinney's Irish Pub in the Haymarket is your place for English Premier League soccer. On Saturday, Leicester City plays Chelsea at 6:30 a.m., followed by Arsenal playing Nottingham Forest at 9 a.m. To cap off the Saturday action, Man City takes on Tottenham at 11:30 a.m. On Saturday, Liverpool starts off the action against Southampton at 8 a.m., followed by Ipswich Town playing Man United at 10:30. You can catch all these matches and more at the McKinney's Irish Pub, your headquarters in Lincoln for English Premier League soccer at 8th and P.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
Hey everybody, this is Chris Beecham from Brand Lincoln Podcast and Perch Merch, your go-to in Lincoln for printing and promotional needs. Speaking of that, we are running a huge hoodie sale now through November 30th to save you big money on great brands. 20% off everything from Nike and Bella Canvas pullovers to Gildan and Port & Company sweatshirts and district fleeces. Get yours for your group or organization today by calling us at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Have you been told by your physician that your testosterone level is fine, but you don't feel fine? Get a second opinion. If your testosterone level is 200, 350, even 500, and you still have symptoms, come to Limitless Male. We treat the person and the symptoms, not the number. Our mission is for you to feel optimal again. So if you're tired all the time, no energy, brain fog, muscle loss, nothing left in the tank, get your free consult at limitlessmale.com.
Hey guys, it's Nick. You know how much I love beer, and this game day, show your Husker pride with Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of the Nebraska Alumni Association. Brewed by Nebraska fans, for Nebraska fans, Dear Old Nebraska Brew is your go-to for every kickoff, touchdown, and celebration. Whether it's tailgating, watching the game at home, or gathering with friends, this beer is there to bring that perfect game day refreshment. Dear Old Nebraska Brew embodies the spirit of Nebraska with every sip. So crack one open and let the good times roll. Dear Old Nebraska Brew, the official beer of Nebraska alumni. Please drink responsibly.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
League One Volleyball is coming to Omaha this January. Featuring Olympic medalist Jordan Larson and Justine Wong-Arantes, Love Omaha Volleyball is Omaha's newest pro team. The inaugural season will showcase some of the world's best volleyball players, from medalists to NCAA champions and international superstars, with the action kicking off on January 24th at the Liberty First Credit Union Arena. Visit LOVB.com for more information and to purchase tickets. Volleyball is the next major league. Fall is officially here, and Brown Shoe Fit has just the right style and comfort your feet deserve. Stop in and see a wide selection of all your favorite brands, including Brooks, Hoka, Echo, Keen, and many more. At Brown Shoe Fit, they'll take the time to measure your feet to ensure a proper fit. They also have the largest selection of Uggs and Hokas in Lincoln. Brown Shoe Fit, 66th and Q in Lincoln.
When your home fills up with family, Aloe Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Aloe Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Aloe at 866-481-2556 or visit aloefiber.com.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Brought to you by General Fire and Safety, Raisin Canes, Perch Merch, Sunbelt Rentals, Mullen Motors, Select Plumbing, and the Kindler Hotel. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
There are moments in life, surrounded by family and friends, when you realize this is what it's all about. For 65 years, the Riddles family has been creating jewelry to capture these precious moments, crafting one memory at a time to last forever. Now, join them in celebrating Riddles Jewelry's 65th anniversary with incredible savings. Enjoy up to 30% off engagement rings. And for a limited time, save up to an additional $700 on your ring purchase. At Riddles, they're more than jewelry. They're here to help you create moments that truly sparkle, surrounded by the people who matter most. Family owned. Today, tomorrow, forever. Riddles Jewelry.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Bryant at 402-467-1111 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-467-1111.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show. This segment of the Adam Carriker Show is brought to you by our good friends at Mulberry Barbecue. Every day talking about Mulberry Barbecue, I just get hungry, ladies and gentlemen. Check them out at 11th and Cornhusker, open Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Try the delicious burnt end sandwich, a brisket burrito, barbecue nachos, a full slab of ribs, a half-smoked chicken, and much, much more, plus incredible sides. Get fueled for lunch today or make your dinner plans at Mulberry Barbecue by Single Barrel, located at 11th and Cornhusker. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring on my special guest. All right, NFL Hall of Fame McCann Award winner. He was with ESPN for almost 20 years, 2 decades. All right. A reporter with a sense of humor, I might add. Dallas Cowboys insider, Mr. Ed Warder. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
Dude, I am glorious. And before we dive into Dallas Cowboys intel, I'm giving away the first thing we're going to talk about in our prediction segment, which is Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Who you got in the fight tonight?
I got to take the younger guy. I'm amazed that Mike Tyson still believes and can get paid at age 58 to get in the ring and box with anyone. But I will take the younger man in this fight. He's already been hit with the first blow, so I think he'll come out hard.
Yeah, the slap heard around the world. I like it. I'm not going to give away my prediction. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk a little NFL football, a little Dallas Cowboys. All right, they've had a rough past 4 games, lost 4 games in a row, 2 of those games by 28 points or more. Obviously, Dak has season-ending surgery. Talk to me about the Cowboys. Is there any hope for them the rest of this season?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, their season is effectively over. They're not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. And in fact, in recent years, we've seen teams that start 3-6 like the Cowboys have recover and actually advance to the postseason. But can't imagine that happening for a variety of reasons, the most obvious of which is how poorly they've played, especially against top competition, even at home. And then the injury to Dak Prescott that will end his season for the second time in 5 years on IR. You know, he played every game of his career to start for the first 4 years where Jason Garrett was the head coach. Mike McCarthy's been far less fortunate. When this season ends, he'll have only played 58 of a possible 85 games. And the Cowboys are obviously locked into him as a long-term quarterback here because Jerry Jones, hours before week 1's opening kickoff in Cleveland, made him the highest paid player in the NFL. You wonder how differently things would have turned out had they not executed that contract, and Dak, as Mike McCarthy, was forced to work the final year of his deal. You know, I think they might have moved on from Dak Prescott this offseason had that been the case. Instead, they'll have to find coaches who think he's an asset and want him to be their quarterback.
For those who don't know, Dak Prescott signed a 4-year, $240 million contract extension, making him the highest paid player in NFL history. The Cowboys also signed a 4-year, $136 million extension to CeeDee Lamb, making him the second highest paid wide receiver. The Cowboys exercised Micah Parsons' $21.3 million contract option for the 2025 season. So they're paying a lot of money specifically to these 3 guys. And obviously this season is a disappointment by any fan base's standards. But does it make it even harder for Cowboys fans knowing that they're paying these guys what they're being paid? Dak's on the shelf. The team's underperforming. How much more frustrating does that make it for Cowboys fans?
Well, Cowboys fans are frustrated for a variety of reasons. First of all, it begins and it reaches a whole new level of discontent with Jerry Jones as the general manager. And he has been, obviously, for the last 30 years of relative futility for this franchise in terms of at least not getting to even a conference championship game, which only they in Washington have not made in that period of time. And the fact that, he doesn't judge his own performance based on the results like he does the players or even the head coach. Mike McCarthy's on an expiring contract. He went 12-5 3 years in a row, went 1-3 in the playoffs, got blown out at home against Green Bay in the first round last year. And as a result, while Jones didn't fire him as punishment for that, he also basically set him up to fail with the way they conducted the offseason, the players they lost. They were very inactive in free agency. Last team to sign a player for the second time in 3 years. Now Mike McCarthy is sitting here with probably the worst team he's ever coached. They've got the worst winning percentage in a season under Mike McCarthy. And if you look at all of his numbers across his 18 years as an NFL coach, he's never really been through anything like this level of failure and offensive futility. I mean, they're 0-4 at home. They came into the season with a 16-game home winning streak, the longest in the NFL.
Wow.
They're winless at home, and they've lost their 4 games at home by a combined 94 points. That's the most by any team that made the playoffs a year before in NFL history. And, honestly, Adam, there are so many incredibly negative stats that reflect how poorly they played this year that it's truly hard to decide which one you want to choose to represent that failure.
All right, I got 2 of the most important questions you've ever been asked when it comes to the Cowboys. The first one, the age-old question. Who deserves the credit for the 3 Super Bowls in the 90s? Because Barry Switzer won one of them as the head coach. Is it Jerry Jones? Is it Jimmy Johnson? And for those who don't know, Jerry Jones put Jimmy Johnson in the Cowboys Ring of Honor just a little under a year ago. I don't know if that was an olive branch or not, but who gets the credit now that we have the benefit of hindsight?
Well, it took him way too long to put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor, which he clearly deserves. He was in the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame, before he was in the Ring of Honor.
That's crazy.
And Jerry didn't put him in the Ring of Honor until he himself was in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's always been, this enormous clash of egos that's endured for nearly 30 years. And I think it was the fact that Jerry was doing this Netflix documentary played no small part in him magnanimously finally deciding to give Jimmy the honor that he's long deserved, but could only acquire if Jerry gave it to him. And so that finally happened, but I think a lot of it was because Jerry wanted to look good in the documentary, didn't want to appear petty. Long ago, Adam, when I was covering this franchise for the Dallas Morning News, and Jimmy and Jerry were at it at the time, Jimmy was actively the coach, I made my choice. You were either a Jimmy guy or a Jerry guy. I was a Jimmy guy because I thought Jimmy was just honoring the traditional role of a head coach, whereas Jerry ignored those boundaries as an owner and crossed too often into coaching components, and still does. So I give Jimmy credit for not just the 2 Super Bowls he won as a head coach. I also give him a lot of credit for the one that Barry Switzer won as the head coach. And I can tell you this, even talking to Barry Switzer to this day, he'll tell you, at least I didn't screw it up. Guys,
Yep.
Other guys they would have hired in that circumstance could have screwed it up. At least I didn't screw it up.
There you go. I'm with you. I've always been more toward Jimmy in my personal opinion. All right, here's the other important question. Is Dallas, the Dallas Cowboys, are they really America's team?
I don't know. I think Kansas City's making a run at that right now, aren't they? I mean,
them and the rest. Yes, but go ahead.
The Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls, trying to become the first franchise in history to win 3 in a row, and are doing it with a 9-0 record because they do that while being the second undefeated team in NFL history. I mean, their biggest challenge is probably at Buffalo this week. They've come awfully close to losing some games. They played from behind. They've had a bunch of one-score games, but they've won them all, and they've improved their roster as the season has gone on in a way that most teams don't. But, yeah, I think generally there's still a unique fascination with this franchise, win or lose, love or hate, that will likely endure through this coaching administration and whatever happens this offseason. So, yeah, I think the title still belongs to them, but maybe they're being challenged in a way that they haven't for a very long time.
That is true. That is very true. All right, I got to ask. You brought up the Chiefs and potential Super Bowl three-peat. Who do you have in the Super Bowl? AFC, NFC. Who are your two teams in the Super Bowl in this way ridiculously early stage to be talking about said thing?
You know what? I think that I'm going to go with Buffalo and Philadelphia.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. All right.
It's time. Yeah. Buffalo's been able to beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. They might do it again this weekend. If they do, they'll have a shot at home field advantage. If they lose this game, it'd be virtually certain that Kansas City, if they met them in the postseason, would be at Arrowhead again. And I just think, as great as Steve Spagnuolo's defense has been with the Chiefs, they really haven't stopped Josh Allen. And he's playing at a high level, not turning the ball over like he has been in the past. They're running the ball better. They're taking it away on defense. So I'm giving Buffalo a chance.
All right. This is the main event question. Who is the greatest 8U rec baseball coach you've ever seen in your life? This is the creme de la creme question here.
I guess the best Little League coach I've experienced in Colorado, at least. It might be you.
Okay, I appreciate it. How is Henry doing?
You and I obviously had a lot of interactions as I covered the NFL and you played in the NFL. But I was really impressed with you taking a knee and pitching to these kids. And the fact that your daughter was by far the best player on the team, I think wins you this special recognition that you desperately seek.
I do desperately seek it. Those pats on the back. Hey, she's going to be, playing 10U competitive baseball. She's still playing baseball with the boys this summer, a program called the Braves. So shout out to the Braves. How is Henry doing, your grandson? How's he doing, by the way?
Henry's great, and he's been involved in – I love the fact that I thought he was going to be a tennis player like I was, and we certainly invested in that, and he has good eye-hand coordination. He loved playing baseball for you. He played kid pitch last year and did pretty well. He's played flag football. He's playing basketball. He played soccer this year for the first time on an undefeated team. So he's doing great. We just confirmed plans to go to Colorado and experience Christmas with them. So we're looking forward to that. But, yeah, your daughter was an unbelievably good player, and I appreciate her patience with some of the boys who were not nearly at her level. And that's probably going to be an issue she has throughout her athletic career. The bad boys getting in her way.
Yeah. Those young boys tend to be a bit of an issue. But, hey, I appreciate you taking the time. Tell Henry, tell the family I said hello. Thank you.
You do the same. Good to talk to you guys, and happy holidays.
You too. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Anderson Ford, Tanner's Bar and Grill, Tavern 180, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Vinnie Kreekak of State Farm Insurance, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When he stops the game-winning goal with his nose. When your hand accidentally becomes the pot holder. When her bike takes her off-road and onto the sidewalk. That's where we come in. Walk into CHI Health Clinic Priority Care 7 days a week for urgent and minor care at primary care rates. Getting you back to better health is our priority. Find your location at chihealth.com/priority care.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather, sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today, we'll see lots of sunshine, and it will be breezy. See an afternoon high around 63. Tonight, partly cloudy and a continued breeze, below near 46. And tomorrow, we'll see mostly sunny skies, return breezy conditions too, with the high near 64. I'm meteorologist Kyle Felder from 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
College football in Lincoln, America. The time has come. Start your game day off right with the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Join the ticket crew as they bring you all the coverage you need to get you ready for the action. It's the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Brought to you by General Fire and Safety, Raisin Canes, Perch Merch, Sunbelt Rentals, Mullen Motors, Select Plumbing, and the Kindler Hotel. On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
When your home fills up with family, Allo Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Allo Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
We fix basements.
We fix basements.
We fix basements.
We fix basements. We fix basements.
At F Foundation Repair, we've been fixing basements for over 30 years. We're your local foundation repair experts. Our warranties stay here. Our people work here. You can trust us to take care of your home. Go to wefixbasements.com to learn more.
Midwest Bank is hosting our annual Thanksgiving food drive, partnering with local Lincoln schools to provide Thanksgiving dinners to families in need. We hope to provide meals for more than 120 families in our community this year. You can help by dropping off a donation at either Midwest Bank location, 7001 Pioneers Boulevard or 2655 Jamie Lane. Any donation is greatly appreciated. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank, member FDIC.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Couple Chevrolet GMC, wanting to thank you all again for your continued service. November is off and running. Check this out. Get up to $12,000 off or 0% financing on select new vehicles. We have great lease specials with new Trax and Trailblazers starting at $299 per month and new Blazer EVs leasing for $399. Great payments, discounts, and of course, 0% financing. So make that short drive down 144th Street or check us out online at couplecars.com. You'll be glad you did. All finance with approved credit, leases with $2,500 down.
Mulberry Barbecue is the answer to all your lunch and dinner cravings. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burnt-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Don't forget their great sides like mac and cheese, cheesy potatoes, barbecue beans, or red slaw. Mulberry Barbecue, open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway.
Are you looking for affordable drinks and a great atmosphere this football season? Highball Bar has you covered. Whether it's pregame tailgating, postgame festivities, or in-game celebrations, Highball Bar is the place to be. With $4 beers, $4 mixed drinks, and more during their 4 to 8 p.m. daily happy hour, Highball Bar will quickly become your go-to place to sit back, unwind, and be your team's #1 fan. Highball Bar, located in downtown Lincoln, just 3 blocks from Memorial Stadium at 122 North 11th Street.
This is the Adam Carriker Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Boom! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adam Carriker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. Check out The Ticket, Facebook, X, everywhere you're on your socials, YouTube, podcast platforms, Amazon Prime, television, radio, theticketfm.com, also the Carriker Chronicles. Basically 2 places. You can follow me on all the socials as well, but basically 2 places, CarrikerChronicles.com, also YouTube, type in Carriker Chronicles. It's time to give our predictions. We got boxing. We've got the only game that matters, Nebraska, USC, and then all the other college football games. Let's start with boxing. Jake Paul or Mike Tyson. Jake, who you taking?
Well, I'm definitely cheering for Mike Tyson, but I don't know. I mean, he's 58 years old. I think I've got to go with youth. Now, generally, you think, okay, if Mike Tyson was just facing a guy that doesn't know to somebody that doesn't know how to box, then Mike Tyson would dominate him, right? But I think Paul's had enough experience that he'll get the win tonight.
Like, he's won some pro fights.
Yeah.
Now, you watch their training videos, I will admit, Tyson actually looks faster, even at the age of 58. He looks faster. He looks more impressive. But they had to, just a reminder, they had to postpone training and postpone the fight because Tyson had a serious medical issue, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm sure he's been clear that they wouldn't be doing it. The longer this fight goes, obviously, the more it favors Jake. If Jake can get out of the first 3 rounds and avoid that early, bam, Mike Tyson knockout blow, I'm going to go with Jake. Not a whole lot of confidence. I'll go 60% confidence on Jake. All right, let's dive into a little bit. Well, let's go with Nebraska. Then we'll do overall college football. All right, D'Anton Lynn. Could you imagine? Like, he was UCLA's defensive coordinator. USC said, hey, come on over here, join us. Don't even have to move out of your house. We're going to take our biggest rival's head defensive guy. But he's now with USC. Here are some of the things he had to say when it came to Dana Holgorsen. He is, by the way, USC's defensive coordinator, if you didn't know. All right. He said, and I quote, you have to go off what you see on tape. Obviously, watching some Houston stuff, what were they good at? What did they do there that they already do at Nebraska? And then what were his staples where in a span of 2 weeks that he could incorporate them in the scheme? He basically said, and end quote, but he basically goes on, I'm going to paraphrase, that it's been kind of a nightmare and he's been staying up late at night trying to figure out what in the heck Holgorsen's going to do. So we do have the element of surprise. Once we play a game, Wisconsin will have that tape. So we do have a little bit of the element of surprise. When it comes to Nebraska, when it comes to USC, I made a prediction earlier this week, and I did not yet know if Dylan Raiola was going to play. I don't think I'm going to change that prediction. I kind of thought he was going to play, and even if Harburg played, Harburg did some things the last time we were on the football field that I actually, thought maybe Dylan hadn't been doing. So I think Dylan gives us the best opportunity to win, but I didn't think there was a gargantuan drop between how Dylan's played recently, and hopefully that drastically improves. Talked earlier how it can improve rather quickly, actually, and what we saw from Harburg. So I'm going to go with the same prediction I put out earlier this week. That's the good guys 27, the other guys 24. Nebraska 27 because we're either going to make 2 field goals or miss a PAT. Both are just as likely, by the way. Like, that's how wildly unpredictable this team is. In my opinion, it's just as likely that we'll make 2 field goals as we will miss a PAT. Which one do you think is actually more likely, Jake? If you had to choose.
I would say make 2 field goals, but they're just coming off a missed PAT. So
that's kind of my point. All right, I digress. Nebraska 27, the Trojans of Southern California. And I'm curious, do they even want to play? Do they even want to be there? Trojans 24. Not a lot of confidence. I'm going to go about 60-40, just like the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. All right, moving on to the next game. We got UCLA, Washington. Washington very up and down this year. UCLA looks like they're a pretty good team, though. And in fact, when they play USC in a couple of weeks, I'm going to predict UCLA to win that game. I got UCLA over Washington. You look at Texas versus Arkansas. Why would I even talk about this? Because Arkansas has played a couple of top 10 teams really close this year. And they beat Tennessee. It was Tennessee they beat earlier this year. Yeah, they beat Tennessee. I remember that. So they've got the capability of winning. Texas big. All right, Utah, Colorado. Utah is a team that is getting healthy. Their defense is healthy. They have not been healthy. They're still without their quarterback. They're still without their tight end. They're not going to be explosive. That is just not who they are. That is not what they do. But they can keep this game close. They can keep it interesting. The only concern I have is the letdown after the way that BYU game ended. Colorado has every reason to be motivated and excited about this. The tickets for this game, like the cheapest tickets you can find are about $200. Okay, people don't spend that kind of money in Boulder, Colorado unless they're going skiing. So for me, I'm going to go with Colorado. All right, next up on the docket. Let me scroll down just a smidge here. Mercer, Alabama. Who you got, Jake?
Going to lean toward Alabama.
I made you think about it, though, for a second.
60-40 type of thing. Like
60.
earlier.
That's great. I love that. All right. I only want to talk about Penn State versus Purdue because I just want to talk about the horrifically, horribly weak schedule Penn State has played. All right. Here's all the teams they beat. West Virginia, 5-4. Bowling Green, 5-4. The mighty Kent State, who finally led for the first time all year and then lost 34-7 to Miami of Ohio. But they're 0-9. Now they're 0-10, actually. Illinois, 6-3. UCLA, 4-5. USC, 4-5. Wisconsin, 5-4. Washington, 5-5. The best team they played is one game over 500. Although they left off Ohio State off this list. Obviously, well, they lost. That's why. They haven't beaten anybody with better than a 5-4 record. That being said, I just want to talk about that. They're going to beat Purdue. But I just want to talk about that. LSU at Florida. Oh, it's LSU all day, right? I'm going with Florida. Billy Napier has the most brutal schedule I have ever seen. I know Georgia's strength of schedule, and I've talked about a lot, is ranked number 1, but you look at Florida's schedule, I've called it an NFL schedule, and they are like 500 with a chance to go to a bowl game, which is crazy. I'm going with Florida mostly because it's at home in the swamp. All right, we talked about the good guys and the other guys, Nebraska, USC, Missouri, South Carolina. All right, this is an interesting one. Missouri was a preseason top 10 team. South Carolina was on hardly anybody's radar. By the way, Chris Mad Dog Russo, here's a quote that he had. Let's see here. The Big Ten stinks. South Carolina and the SEC would win the Big Ten. I mean, I know Ohio State and Oregon are pretty good, but the Big Ten, I mean, Penn State, how is Penn State 4th in the country? Penn State, who never beats anybody and got drilled by Ohio State at home, and they got drilled. South Carolina would beat them all, end quote. So there's his thoughts. But that Missouri team, whose 2 big games of the year been on the road, this is on the road in Columbia, South Carolina, they lost those 2 games to A&M and Alabama by a combined score of 75-10. I'm taking South Carolina, who some people think still has a very outside shot of getting in the playoff. Oregon, Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 13.5-point favorite. Here's the only thing that makes me nervous, because Oregon's the better team. This is Oregon's 8th straight game. Wisconsin's coming off a bye. We've already talked about previous weeks how hard it is to fly multiple time zones as a college student and win. Oregon's 8th straight game on the road. They got to travel 2 time zones. Wisconsin's fresh off a bye. This is their Super Bowl. That's the only thing that makes me nervous. That being said, the spread is 13.5. I'm going to take Oregon in the points. But it makes me nervous, Jake. I want you to know, even though I'm taking them 14 to win by 14 or more. I will say this. I've talked to some coaches across the country. They believe Oregon is the fastest team in America. And I'm not just talking about their wide receivers. I'm talking about their D-line, their linebackers. Like, there's a lot of coaches who don't even believe it's an argument. They are the fastest team in America. Belongs to the Oregon Ducks. All right, who else we got here? Oh, shout out to the Nebraska volleyball team. All right, they dominated the first set over Minnesota 25-12. Actually lost their first set that they've actually lost. I think it's 10 matches. But came back and beat Minnesota, who's a ranked team, in phenomenal. All right, in a phenomenal. God, what do you not the match, the set? They lost they won the first set, lost the second set, and won the match. Won the match in 4 sets. Easy for me to say, but they had to fight, scratch, and claw. They're not always going to be pretty. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's a dogfight. Not just in football, but in other sports. It's how do you find a way to win? So shout out to Nebraska volleyball, BYU, and Kansas. BYU is only favored. Kansas is 3-6 in 9 games. BYU is only favored, undefeated, by the way, top 10, by the way, by 2.5 points versus a 3-6 Kansas team. Kansas was bad earlier this year, but they haven't been bad recently. I have to point out, though, home field is generally considered to be 3 points to the odds makers. They're basically saying on a neutral field, 3-6 Kansas, it's a coin flip versus BYU. I will say this, Kansas just beat previously undefeated Iowa State. And their quarterback, he went from completing about 50% of his passes the first 5 games to the last 4, 60%. Total yards per game went from 182 to 304. Total touchdowns, he almost doubled. And his interceptions went from 8 in the first 5 games to 1 in the last 4. That's the difference. Jalen Daniels is playing like he can. Keep an eye on that BYU-Kansas game. I'm going to take BYU, but I'm going to go 51-49 on that confidence meter. All right, any games we're missing here? Tennessee, Georgia. How much time we got left? That's the last one I want to talk about.
Yeah, we got a few minutes.
All right. I feel like both teams have to win this game. And I'm still going to say there might be a 3-loss SEC team or Big Ten team that gets in. Like, let's say BYU is undefeated. They go play Colorado and they lose. Who are you going to put BYU over? Are you going to put them over Alabama? Are you going to put them over if Georgia has 2 losses? Are you going to put them over a 2-loss Georgia team? Like Colorado is then in at that point as the Big 12 champ into the college football playoff. This might be a scenario where BYU has to win all their games. And it probably is that way for Georgia. It probably is that way for Tennessee. Their starting quarterback, Nico Iamaleava, is out for the game. But he wasn't exactly setting the world on fire. You watch them play versus Bama, and they won that game due to great defense. But there was guys running wide open downfield. He finally hit one late in the top corner of the right end zone, top right corner of the end zone, I should say. But they were open. He's missing them. So I don't know anything about their backup quarterback. I'm going to take Georgia in this game. The last time I looked, before the news of the quarterback, Nico Iamaleava being out, was released, the spread was 9.5, and I thought that was large. I'm taking Georgia, but I'm taking Tennessee with the points. Now I might take Georgia at home. They're angry. They've had to play at Texas. They've had to play at Bama. They've had to play at Ole Miss. They finally get to come home. Those fans are going to be going nuts. If they win, they're in. They will I know they're out right now. They will eventually be in the playoff. But if they lose, they might be out. There is a scenario, again, that I pointed out earlier, possibly maybe 9-3 Georgia, 12-1 BYU. If Georgia loses again and BYU loses in the Big 12 championship game, that could be a decision for that 11th, 12th seed that the committee has to make. And I'll be honest with you, I would go with Georgia at that point, especially with their schedule. But looking right now, Georgia, Tennessee, this is basically a must-win game for both teams if they want to ensure their college football playoff hopes are still alive and basically they control their own destiny. And again, I know Georgia's out right now. They're the first team out right now. They'd be the 13th seed in a 12-team field, so they'd be the first team out. Somebody's going to fall, and they're going to get in as long as they keep winning because they're Georgia and because of their strength of schedule. Tennessee, if they win out, they're in. They might be in the SEC title game. If they get down to 2 losses, they're probably in. Like, think of a 2-loss Tennessee team who's played teams like Bama and Georgia and some of these other good teams versus a 1-loss BYU. But they've not looked pretty. And if Nico Iamaleava's injury persists, the committee has shown they'll take that into consideration. Just ask Florida State. They take injuries into consideration. This is kind of a must-win game. I'm now going to take Georgia and Georgia with the points. And I know nothing about Tennessee's backup quarterback. Maybe the gap between him and the starter Iamaleava isn't even that great, but I'm going to take Georgia plus the points because they're pissed, and I guarantee Kirby Smart's been ripping into them like a monkey on a cupcake all week. Ladies and gentlemen, have a phenomenal weekend. Go Big Red Nose. Remember to throw the bone.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The